Starting.
I don't
Oh
care.
my goodness, we're live!
What has
John,
happened?
what are you doing? We're not ready
I
to
don't know. I don't
care.
Magical.
So, how are you, everyone?
Does that thing mean that we're live right now?
It says live on the upper corner there. Yeah.
Is this thing on? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Ooh,
doing well. What?
you want to talk about gadgets?
Sure. Always love talking about gadgets.
So, a random company sent me this. You seen this?
Yes, that's the thing that you life cam blog millennial yourself with.
Right. So, I am
judgment there at the end.
less interested in the life blogging millennial aspect of things.
Okay.
Although I did think very strongly about turning it on when I got pulled over speeding, just to like have a body cam. But
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm more interested in the technology behind it.
Yeah.
Very small. It runs full Android.
Is it a
It is
full
Android. Well, some kind of Android, a fork of Android. But the point is,
Is that like a medallion that you wear
it's
around
a
your neck?
medallion that you go to see. You know,
No, you wear it like the Vision, right?
No.
It's like a
Yeah,
line.
it's
It's like
eye.
Flavor Flav.
You wear it. So you wear it like you know, you go to the
Yeah.
Yeezy concert and then
Can you put it? Is there a Flavor Flav face for it? Please.
see, look, this is me recording me.
That's magical.
That's awesome.
But
Over the top.
it's got and the screen is bananas. But look at the bottom. We could run the community stand-up
Wow.
on the
How
medallion.
much does this thing retail for? Is this like a smartphone that's not a smartphone?
It's
everything but a smartphone?
Yeah, basically. It's a camera with a Retina screen.
Does it have cellular?
No, so it stores it locally, or it Bluetooths over to your camera
what-
and then buffers from there.
It has Wi-Fi though, I'm guessing.
Well, but this is the part I haven't figured out yet. It does in fact have Wi-Fi.
Right. There you go.
So arguably,
Yeah.
I could output
Tether.
to the universe.
You could tether with your phone,
Well,
right?
But you don't need to tether if it has Wi-Fi. So maybe I'm answering my own question.
Wait.
I think it could go live itself.
So I mean, when you're mobile, like if you're out walking out the street, you would like hotspot your phone with it, right?
Yeah, you'd hotspot your. Oh, there you go. Right. So now it says go to google.com/device and enter this code,
Okay.
and then
That
it
auths
associates.
you, I guess.
It
And
auths as me.
Yeah. Right.
But it's
How much-
gorgeous.
How much does it cost?
Like $300. It's called a front row. So I don't really care, but I'm going to be in Scotland next week, and they showed like in their promotional video people like walking.
Okay, you
down
know what
the
you should
street.
do? Like totally serious. Totally serious.
Serious.
You know how you've done educational videos about presenting and speaking? You should wear one of those while doing a conference, just for like one talk. And then you can cut pieces of that into your next version.
But it would
of
be
that.
pictures of the audience, not
Yeah,
me.
but like this is the perspective of the speaker, and like you'd be behind the scene, you'd be like typing on the laptop and looking up, and like you'd be walking around the stage.
So
and...
I will. That'll be incredibly geeky and stupid, and
Yeah,
I will
I know,
do
of
that.
course.
I will do that for the Scottish user group in Edinburgh that I'm doing.
Speaker cam.
Speaker cam.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Anyway, it
That
came
is
from
exciting.
front. So it turns out I dug into this. It's called Front Row, and it's from pause for effect, the Yubikey people. They sent it to me as a gift after I blogged about their Amplify mesh network.
Hang on, they make this?
They're made by the same people as the mesh.
Oh, mine is blown.
See,
Mine
it all
is
comes
blown.
together. It's crazy, isn't it?
Okay, I just realized I haven't joined the chat.
The chat.
Oh,
I'm proud of myself. I actually have joined the chat separately as me.
Okay.
I
Not as
forgot about the chat.
application.
I forgot about the chat.
Okay,
There
while
we
we're
go.
talking gadgets, I got to talk one, and this is an old one, but this Yubikey thing is magical.
Why is it
Okay.
magical? What does it do?
Okay.
I don't get it. I don't know why I
Here's
need
what it
this.
does.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. Before we start,
Yeah.
This is the first time where you have hosted this, John,
Yes.
because you're hosting it from the .NET Foundation. On the left-hand side, go to not control room. Where is it? We need you to go to the cameraman.
Cameraman. Sweet.
Where's
Yes.
cameraman, and then
I'm on
click
it.
on cameraman, and then there's 3 bulleted points. One of them says, don't show the people at the bottom, like show you in full screen. I think it's the second one.
Yes.
Okay.
Click
Hide
that.
their audio and video from my broadcast.
No, that's not the one.
Hmm.
The second one.
Second one. Broadcast and large blah, blah, blah. Hide their video feeds. Okay. I believe
Yeah,
I've
because
done
the idea is right now we're like in a smaller window within a window with us at the bottom.
Right.
So
Yeah.
every time you start this, you need to click that in order to full screen us.
I gotta do the cameraman business. Okay.
Does that make sense? So that's
Yes.
a topic. So oh, there we go. Now we're full screen. So
Cool.
now
Okay,
we look
let me.
better, and then I don't have to be here.
Yeah. Awesome. That's what it's all about. Okay.
It's all about me not coming to this event.
I'll tell you the Yubikey thing, what's magical about it to me. So like anytime you would ever type in your password for GitHub, for instance, this is plugged into a USB slot and you touch it. And it
it's not another factor. Like you don't have to, there's a brand new one. There's a nano one that goes in USB-C port, and it's like you can't see it.
When do you plug it in? Walk me through the process, because right now I
leave it plugged in all the time. It's actually in my.
Then how is that secure? Then if you've plugged in, then you have it within.
It's the same reasoning as behind having a local PIN to sign into Windows, which is unique to this machine. It's more secure.
It's a TPM.
It's not a TPM. Obviously,
it's a U2F thing.
But what I want to understand, John, is that. Does this replace you using the password, or is it a second factor? Like instead of me having to pick up my phone and go, this code. It
replaces.
I don't even have to put the password in.
Does it work for work? Does it work at Microsoft?
So I haven't set that up. You can do all kinds of other stuff, but what I use it for is personally, like I'm always logging in and out of GitHub because I have .NET Foundation and Microsoft, or my personal GitHub. And so typing the passwords back and forth is a pain in the neck, whereas I just touch the button.
Hang on a second. I've got auto password whatever in Windows. And I've got Authy, two-factor auth.
Yep.
What does getting a Yubikey add for me?
Well, I'm sure it does a bunch of other stuff. Like they have a whole API and other apps and all this stuff. But if you're ever like having to log in or log out, like there's no extra Authy, find your phone, anything. It's just like click, touch the button. I sense
you gotta sell it, man.
John, you're not really doing a great job of selling it to us. Like we've literally had this conversation
Scott didn't have to sell his medallion. I mean, I wasn't.
You've already purchased one. You're so excited about that medallion.
I bought two. Yeah.
I know people who have got them. They're like, they're great. I'm like, what does it do? Is it just an extra factor, an extra layer of security, or does it fundamentally make the experience better for me?
Funnily, like I'm not even having to type a password. Like I know two-factor auth.
So wait a second, though. I'll just steal your laptop then, and I don't have to fundamentally type a password.
You'd have to break into my house.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, no. If you grab this, it's not. Yeah, I don't know.
I love you, but I don't get it. I want to support you, though.
I will do my more in-depth research, and I will be ready. It was spur of the moment, but to be fair, your sales pitch for the medallion didn't really sell me either.
I only buy things if Troy Hunt tells me to buy them, so I'm not going to buy the Yubikey.
Oh, yeah, that'd be important. But
if Troy Hunt writes a thoughtful blog post about it, I'm going to buy stock in the company.
See, Joseph's saying there's all kinds of other stuff on the chat. He's saying you can PGP sign your Git commits with it, and it can be a second factor.
If I had a nickel for every time I wanted to PGP sign my Git commits.
Get on it. I get emails from Warren Novotny, and he's the only person I know that like I get the seal on all my emails from him. Like he's set up all the digital cert stuff for his emails.
It's my email signature.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing though. This gets to the point about like PGP and that kind of. Someone emailed me a PGP encrypted email recently, and I could not answer. And I was trying to figure out what in the heck's going on. They had looked me up at the MIT PGP list of things from 1996.
You don't have that anymore?
And it turns out I don't have that key anymore.
You couldn't decrypt it. That's unfortunate.
So then I'm having a plain text conversation.
But you see, if you had a Yubikey, you wouldn't be able to do it because you lost it on the machine in like the fourth last house.
It would have changed literally nothing.
Yes. It would have just like, it would have been the bottom of the washing machine.
Here's one example. You know the two-factor auth thing? I've had times where like it doesn't work for me. I'm overseas. I don't have cell reception, whatever.
Okay.
The phone factor auth thing can be a pain. Whereas
I use Authenticator for all that.
He's saying he doesn't have reception sometimes. And
you don't need reception for.
You don't need reception.
You need Wi-Fi for that one, obviously.
But if you're logging into your computer, then Windows 10 has built-in personal hotspot now.
Yeah. Oh, and Joseph also says it's washing machine safe.
Yeah, but not if you leave it there.
Well, if it's washing machine safe, I'll buy 3.
I have tons of community links. Can I show them?
Yes.
No, you can't.
Wait, I didn't get to talk about.
I want you to sell me on the Yubikey more.
I didn't get to talk about any gadgets.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't have any gadgets to talk about. I feel sad.
That's not true. Well, you drove BMWs or something.
Oh my goodness, it was such a great day.
Is that good?
Oh my goodness. So on Friday, a group of us from work took the day off and paid a very small amount of money, a couple $100, to go to the local racetrack where BMW put on what they call their M Performance Track Days. And basically, they bring a whole bunch of very expensive BMWs, and we get to drive them for half the day around racetracks with professional race car instructors. It also included some drag strip. We got to drag like a $180,000 M760 bi-turbo V12, some ridiculous, from nothing to whatever, and then have to try and break it in a box at the end. And then we got to go around the laps, of the track very fast with the instructor leading us around. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, so that was good. Not gadgets as such, but we got to play with some gadgets that we didn't have to worry about breaking. That's always good. What else? I'm waiting for. What's that?
That's exciting.
It was very exciting. It was even better than we thought it would be. That is an action figure.
It's better than driving a BMW.
I don't know what it is. So
it's the guy from Destiny.
Is that an Ewok?
Yeah.
It's freaking. Oh my god.
Sorry, dude. I play driving games. I play Forza.
You suck.
Oh, and the SNES Classic comes out, what, in a few days?
It does.
You're going to pick mine up, right?
I will pick yours up in person.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to that.
Wait a second. Did I buy it? Did you pay it?
I ordered it and paid for it. But
you paid for it and I picked it up.
Because I was on holiday, so I was on my phone at like 12 midnight in bed on the beach.
Is it in my name?
And texting you, and we were trying to coordinate a place where you could pick it up for me.
Yeah.
I put your name down as the person to pick it up.
Okay, cool.
But I paid for it already.
I approve. I can do that.
That'd be good. I'm waiting for Google to announce their new phones next week. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
I got an iPhone 8.
You got the 8?
I got the 8 Plus.
8 Plus? Is it big enough for you though? Really?
Yeah. I beat a man.
You want a bigger one though, don't you? You want like this.
And let me just tell you, both of you guys, that the magic of wireless charging is crap. It's garbage.
I know it is. I know John loves it. I
sit there and I go like this. I drop it and I go.
What charger did you get?
The Samsung charger. Oh, don't blame the charger.
Mine's sitting by my desk. It's always charging. I pick it up.
You're telling me that you drop it on the charger and it immediately does the right thing every time. You never have to move it from side to side.
Correct.
I literally spent 5 minutes picking it up and moving it, picking it up and moving it.
Yeah, my wife's got one on her Samsung, and it's a little fiddly. I don't know. Mine, I always drop it on, and it always works right away. I've got one by my bedside and one by my desk, and so
I haven't missed it. Like since the last phone I had with it was the one that you've got there, John.
Yeah.
That whatever that thing's called.
My
God, how do you live with that? So you used to.
I heard that the Yubikey makes it better though.
But you're having once you go like USB-C fast charging, like it's like it charges in such little time anyway. Like I haven't not lost or missed the utility of wireless charging at all. Like
I in the Apple ecosystem also get USB-C fast charging if I buy only 3 dongles and an extra power supply.
I think doesn't this have, well, regardless, it's just always charged. Like it's always 100%. I don't, and fiddling with this, plugging in the stupid, I know USB-C, at least you don't have to flip it over.
Like I literally have a cable in my car, a cable on my desk, a cable by my bed, and a cable in the kitchen. Like everywhere my phone sits down, there's a cable, so it just gets plugged in, and because, like he says, USB-C.
Well, Sean Wilderman's on my side; he agrees.
That's
so watch. Right now, I'm charging.
5%.
All right, I'm sharing community links. We'll never solve this.
You suck.
All right, check it out. Check out this book.
Oh, this is
so cool.
I am envious. This is the new Nerd Dinner. It's so good.
It's beautiful. So Nate Barbetti. I said his name wrong. Barbettini. Sorry, Nate. So Nate published this awesome book.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So right. So Nate published this awesome book. It is called the Little ASP.NET Core Book, but it's not that little. It's 120 pages.
That's tiny.
So yeah. So it is available. You can read it online here. It also, there's a PDF, and you can directly download the PDF. And I actually brought it up using the Edge PDF reader thing, and it was like reading it just fine. So I mean, it's pretty cool. So awesome book. He goes through all kinds of stuff: building an application, MVC basics, building features, security. So this is a great kind of if you learn by doing, this is a great introduction. So
awesome,
very cool, and free.
It's free, right?
Absolutely free.
Madness.
You can have it. So this is just a neat reminder. So Tuberk pointed this out, that you can put -- help on the .NET commands. So I think that we regularly just show and we're typing out commands, and people watching may be a little put off by like, oh, how do I remember all this stuff? And the commands are pretty you can explore them. If you just type .NET New, it'll list the different available templates. If you type a specific template and help, it'll tell you what the different options are.
But there's sub-help. What he's saying is that if you type .NET New -- help, that's different than .NET -- help. But in this case here, you're getting template-specific help.
For the MVC template.
For example, if you type .NET New like
Spa or Razor or whatever.
console -- help, then you'll find that there's -- language.
Yeah.
And if you have installed the .NET 1.1 templates for 2.0, you can go -- framework netcore app 1.1, and you could make F#, you can make 1.0, 1.1, you can do whatever.
Yeah, the point is templates can define their own parameters,
and as such get their own help.
Yep.
Pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, very cool. So
not super intuitive, but awesome.
No, so you can explore it all from the command line pretty easily.
Exactamente.
Cool. All right, so this dude Damien made this thing called Tag Helper Pack.
Oh, look, it's about to like quadruple its hit count.
So this is cool. These are all these different yeah. So he's got like editor for and display for.
Such a fan.
Cool little utilities like script inlining. I love this partial tag helper. I use this thing a lot. So so you don't have to type, do all the partial for or any of that. You can just directly use it. And then stuff like the markdown tag helper, right?
Yep. So to be clear, the idea here was there was a bunch of, now that we've got a couple of releases of ASP.NET Core out, I've changed my mind over time about what I thought constituted what was a good candidate for a tag helper and what wasn't. And so I wanted to have a place I could just throw a bunch of these ideas into a single package that people could pull in and use. Not supported by us. This is made by me. But we could get feedback at least through some channel as to what might be good to put in the box. So for 2.1, we're already talking about doing the field template tag helpers. So you'll get editor for and display for and those type of display name for and those type of things as tag helpers. So we can move more of the dynamic generation model metadata based stuff into tag helpers because it's just a sort of a much more natural fit. Some of the more controversial ones, like we wouldn't do a markdown tag helper in the box because it takes an external dependency and those type of things. Partial we will definitely do because it's just like you said, it's
awesome.
It's
I love that one. Yeah.
We'll probably do script inlining, maybe. I love the if tag helper, but I know some people like vomit at the idea of it. I mean, they're just wrong, but that's okay. It's okay being wrong. You should embrace it.
Here's a practical.
I like it. So
here's a practical concern. Yeah. When someone comes up with this, are you saying this is a new feature of ASP.NET? This will be in the product, and I can bet my Fortune 1000 company on it, or is this a Damien Edwards production?
But this thing right here?
Yeah.
Didn't I literally just say that?
I'm confused. Did you?
I'm sorry. I built this package because there are things that I thought were interesting to explore as tag helpers that aren't currently in the box.
Right, but when will they be in the box? So I can bet my Fortune 1000 company.
So from release to release, we'll get
some will never be in the box, right?
Some will never be in the box. But I can tell you right now, for 2.1, it's very likely we will end up with the partial tag helper, the ones you like, the template tag helpers will go in. Now, the other thing is that this library works all the way down to ASP.NET Core 1.0. So I made this library also serves as a demonstration of how to build a tag helper class library for NuGet that can work back to the earliest versions of ASP.NET Core and all the way through. All right, so like it serves two purposes. It lets us try out some ideas, or lets me try out some ideas in a package, and which we may or may not roll into the box in the future. It also serves as a demonstration of people who want to author their own tag helper packages of how to do that and target different versions of ASP.NET Core simultaneously.
Cool.
All right, here is a nice, I think, 12-minute, 13-minute video from Mark Rendell. If you know Mark Rendell, he's a hilarious presenter. He's a lot of fun to watch. So he goes through ASP.NET Core 2.0 in Docker in under 15 minutes. Builds out a lab, shows off stuff like compose, and just explains things. So if you've watched other presentations and Docker just hasn't sunk in for you, or if you just want to have a lot of fun, this is a really cool quick overview. So
safe for the children?
Yes, as safe as Mark. Yes, I believe it's safe for the children.
Such confidence.
I mean, Mark
How
will
old
corrupt
are these
their
children
minds.
you refer to?
Mark will corrupt their minds, but
is it PG-13 or is it MA? That's what we're really asking.
I believe
somebody told me that they like my podcast because they can listen to it in the car with their kids, and I'm like, what are you doing to your children?
I don't listen to my kids couldn't sit still long enough to listen to it.
I think it's
I
one of
listen
them,
on
like,
high speed, and my kids go nuts.
forcing the children to listen to it, but at least I don't cuss, I think is what that guy was saying.
Fair enough.
So this is marked as Rendell Labs pilot episode number 1. I'm sure hoping to see 2, 3, and more following along. This was great. So this is a great post here from Rick Strahl on creating class libraries.
Speaking of class libraries for ASP.NET Core,
go ahead and speak.
As in, I just talked about this for doing tag helpers, right? So this is relevant.
Yes, true. What's fun with this is he went through, ran into things, talked about it on Twitter, and David Fowler kind of corrected him several times, but pointed out stuff that's not obvious or not documented, So for instance, he was creating a library for ASP.NET Core referencing the big ASP.NET Core all meta package.
Right.
And David said, don't do that,
because
anyone that takes a dependency on your library is now going to have to pull in all those libraries.
Yeah.
And other things about how specifically to reference how to get support for ASP.NET Core all, again, by not referencing the big meta package. And again, like go down to the lowest possible abstraction or lowest possible level you can to make it easier for people to consume.
Yeah, the short story is that if you're authoring libraries, you have to do more work. Like, we make it as easy as possible for people to build apps, and we want their dependencies to be as minimal and simple to understand as possible. Because let's face it, the vast majority of people are using our stuff to build apps, not libraries. For the select few who are eager enough and willing enough to go and build packages for other people to consume in their libraries, you have to do more work. You have to craft the package, think about the dependencies, go down to that lower layer and really think about, well, I need this API, I need that API. If I use this API, will it work here anymore? If I take in this dependency, what are the implications on apps that are using my library? Like, you really have to think about building a class library for reuse. And so there's more work involved. You can't just add a reference to one thing and you're off to the races. Now, if you're just doing something that relies on net standard, you can do that. If you're doing something that needs things in ASP.NET Core, you can't. You need to pick and choose what you want.
Quick question on this, and this is a random idea I haven't thought through, so I'm sure it's wrong. But
okay.
The way that we have like the web dev checklist and like some different things like that, where we can take a look at some common mistakes that might not be obvious. Could we have like Roslyn analyzers or something that could look and be like, hey, Clippy pops up and says, hey, you're referencing ASP.NET Core all.
We could.
Well, you could, but like when that example might be a little poor, because as he points out, like, you can't even reference it if you target net standard, like, it fails. So like we tried to make it at least that level of, oh, you can't use this because it doesn't install in the class library that targets net standard. We should definitely have a doc. We don't even have a doc, I believe, right now. We should do. That talks about basically this blog post, but a formal doc. It's like, if you're authoring a class library, a NuGet package, to extend ASP.NET Core, then these are the type of things you have to, how do you go about setting that? We don't have a project template for it. It's one of the things that we've talked about for the next release is, if you think back to ASP.NET System Web, we had templates for practically everything out of the box. You wanted to build like a custom control, there was a template. You wanted to build a module, an HTTP handler, an HTTP module class library, there was a template. Like, you wanted to build a user control, there was an item template, etc., etc. We don't really have any of that stuff anymore. We really went through a template rationalization process a few years ago as part of the One ASP.NET effort, which I think was good. But now that we have a completely new platform with new primitives and new low-level things that you have to understand if you want to extend it, there are no templates for any of those things. I think we have a middleware class, like a class item template for middleware, and that's about it. Like, maybe a tag helper one, but there's no create me a tag helper class library project template, or create me an ASP.NET Core MVC filter, for example.
If we can make it so you can go .NET New-I and install a template pack and have those be mirrored in Visual Studio proper and Visual Studio Code, then
I think that's good. I don't think it's enough, frankly. I think we need to own putting stuff in the box by default when it comes to making it super easy for people to extend and redistribute great things that they've built. Like, forcing people to go and find templates in order to figure out how to do X is still a barrier that I don't want people to have to go through to do things like, I got a tag helper, I want to share it, right? So we're also doing some other things that I'm not quite ready to share yet, but we're working on a thing which I hope to be able to show people soon. John, you know about this. Scott, I've talked to you about it before. That will hopefully make it much easier for people to get up and going when they have a great light bulb idea for extending .NET in some way.
Yeah. I saw.
Right. So
I saw a brief demo of that.
Yeah, so we've started it, and hopefully in a couple of weeks I could demo it on here, and we can figure out, get some feedback on that. So
shiny.
Cool. All right, I got to rush. I've still got a few more to go through.
Okay.
We've got 2 posts on F# functional web applications. So this is Scott's. So Scott went through and took a pretty good in-depth look at building an application with Giraffe. And then I don't know if Philip had to one up here or something, but he wrote, like, this is just a very long in-depth one. Big application here as well. So 2 great examples. This is working code and explaining step by step what to do. Yeah.
Well, and something actually worth pointing out is if you go to safe-stack.github.io, they're building a stack that is rather than kind of an ASP.NET focused stack, it's kind of a F# functional stack. So Suave, Azure, Fable, and Elmish. So if you scroll down, just like there's the LAMP and the WAMP and the whatnot. So this is, if you're a functional person, this one's a little different. Now Giraffe is built on top of ASP.NET
that
middleware.
Runs Kestrel and all that.
And Safe kind of eschews the ASP.NET history and kind of does its own thing. So there's definitely a lot more choice now than ever before. It's pretty cool.
How did they go about actually serving? If they're not using Kestrel, are they writing their own
Suave? I thought Suave uses Kestrel. I'd have to go and look.
Okay.
I looked at Suave in 2015 on my blog, and it's got its own Suave. Nope, it uses system.net directly.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
At least let me rephrase. It did in 2015.
Yeah.
And then you front it with something else. You port forward, but it may have changed. So I would have to defer to Philip for something like that. Maybe we can have them give us a demo someday.
Yeah, definitely. So and Philip, Philip's got a whole application here available on GitHub as well, so you can browse through source code.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. So Jack, I've called out a few of his in the past. He's been going through and just looking through the ASP.NET repository. So here he's digging into Razor pages. Some of this stuff's covered in the docs, but it's always nice to have kind of a fresh look at it and what he's found. And so here he's kind of going through Razor pages, explaining what it is, how to get it set up, and dealing with just getting it to work. So understanding it. So nice to see that.
It's worth pointing out too that we're continuing to flesh out the docs on Razor pages and ASP.NET Core in general. So I think there's been a couple of new articles that have gone live recently. I think there's a file upload tutorial now of how to do file upload with Razor pages, and we're about to start putting together a unit testing with Razor pages a doc as well. So
nice.
Yep.
This one I saw come by. This is a 4-step tuning thing. Yeah. So, oops.
A chart. I'm already impressed.
Yeah, it's a chart where he goes through and explains kind of how he started with a kind of more advanced. So this is the actual website. He's got a running instance of the site, and you can go through and do some kind of advanced querying and sorting and filtering. This is using 10,000 records, and it's it's pretty much instant. So it's kind of cool to see how he's done this. He's kind of said, okay, here's where I started with. This is the naive implementation. Then I went through and wrote some custom DB functions, and kind of kept working through, and it eventually ended up with caching. What I love with this too is here he kind of explained in this table the effort versus rewards for the different parts of it. So here's this getting started, few days effort, DB function half day, big turnaround on significant performance improvement, and then talking about using handwritten SQL and cache values and the kind of effort to reward on that. But very cool to see, and also really neat to see just how quick it is as you kind of go through and see it all live. So that's at efcoreinaction.com. All right, 2 last things to wrap up with. This is so .NET Conf, tons of content. There's a lot of good stuff there. Of course, we just had this last week. If you go through, if you're just interested in ASP.NET Core, you can go through and filter. So there's a filters here, and you can just click on ASP.NET Core, and boom, this is a good list of where to get started. So all the videos are up. A lot of good stuff. You know, talking about you know, all kinds of getting started content, some what's new with ASP.NET Core 2 with Dan Roth. So this is a great one from Bleacher Report talking about actually serving 1 million monthly users with .NET. You know, just more and more. Barry Dorn's talking about ASP.NET Core 2 security. So lots of good stuff. I had some people remind me, people were on Twitter saying, how do I download the videos to watch offline on my commute or whatever? And someone would pointed a link to something I'd forgotten about. I posted a gist about a downloader for that. So I actually got around to putting this up. You can, if you just, a lot of people don't use PS get PowerShell gallery. If you just from the command line type install scripts and then the name, so I did channel 9 downloader, then you get this downloader thing. And so, you know, I just hit enter. I updated the default feeds and everything, and it just boom, 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 started downloading. And it does some nice stuff. It shows a progress bar and stuff like that. So however you want to watch them, go get them.
That is some like elite hacker stuff, man. Downloading your conference like videos with a script that you randomly found on the internet. That's great.
No, I wrote the script.
No, but I mean, me as the customer randomly found the
right.
script that you wrote.
So, and if you're worried about it, you can do if you want to know actually what it's doing, like I put the gist up there so you can go and see, you know, specifically what's.
Well, if I trust the link that you just put there in that thing.
Well, you could download this link directly.
I'm just going to keep trolling you with the fact you're using a script to download all these videos. That's fantastic.
You know, part of why I do that is so that I drop the whole folder in VLC and turn up the speed and crank through them on my side monitor.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, the last thing, but not least, so announcing the SignalR alpha release for ASP.NET Core 2. I'm sure, you know, Damien, you can probably jump in and say some more about it.
We're like in the middle of the call. Oh. David Fowler has just joined us.
Look at that. He said he wouldn't, and then there he is.
Yes. He can't hear you, but...
this, I mean, I'll just kind of run through the headline stuff. So next week, we've got Powell coming on to do, like we're going to do a whole SignalR show.
Yeah, SignalR show.
So that's cool. So that's lined up. Mark your calendars. So yeah, some things that, you know, there's the... Removing the jQuery dependency is nice. So it's just JavaScript and TypeScript clients. Support for binary and custom protocols. You know, just tons of different stuff. Is there anything that jumps to mind in here you want to call out, Damien? Favorite feature or anything?
Oh, it's all good. It's all really good. So it's like SignalR, but it's better.
Fantastic.
It's got new binary protocol support, so you can use hubs but use message pack under the covers, so it's like super tight.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good.
You know, so it's been a bit since I looked at it, but the connection model is simplified too. I remember looking at the code, the specific like the hub and connection
stuff anymore, because the stuff we try to do is basically impossible to get right, and so we just don't do it, and we leave it up to your app. It's so different per app what the right thing is to do that we removed a bunch of opinions and just said, no, you need to write code to do what is correct for your scenario. So that'll disappoint some people, and we're still figuring stuff out. This is just initial alpha. Things will change, but we'll talk about it next week. Yeah.
So and if people have specific things they want to see or whatever, I guess if they ask early enough, you know, we could request Powell show it off or whatever.
Yeah, front load some things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm all done with links.
You done?
My side. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Community was great today. That's a lot of links actually today.
I know.
That's great. I'm just looking at the chat. There, I've been answering a couple of questions. Someone asked specifically, are there any plans to remove Bower from the default templates? And I said I would address that because we have been having discussions about this very recently. So the current lowercase p plan of record, plan not promises, is that we would remove Bower is effectively dead. I don't think I'm saying anything out of order there. Bower is effectively done. Like it's actually worse than done, right? It's dead. Like it's basically going away. We're going to remove Bower from the templates in an upcoming servicing release. hopefully this year. So before the end of the year, we'll do a patch release of .NET Core 2, and in there, the new ASP.NET Core templates will be basically changed to not have a Bower file anymore. We will not replace them with anything else yet, but the plan would be after that, sometime early next year, we would look at productizing Mads's Pac-Man feature, which is not going to be its name, but that was the working title while he's been working on it the last couple of years. He demoed this at Build, I think this year or last year. It's basically a way in Visual Studio and integrated into the project file to specify that you want to take a dependency on some client packages, like client-side libraries, and then he can fetch those from a CDN, so like something like CDN.js, or indeed just a file share or any random URL that you configure in your project, and then they will be copied into your project as static files, and you can also tell it what destination. So you can say, oh, the source is here, but I want you to move it into this folder specifically, which is typically and traditionally always been the issue that we run into. Is that how do you, without ratcheting up the complexity count to 11, I just want to get some files. I want them all go in this folder, right? Like I want jQuery, I want jQuery Validate, I want Bootstrap, and I want a couple other things, and I want to put them in their own folders. Like doing that from first primitives to something like Gulp and Bower is non-trivial. Like if you've never used those things before, it's a bit of a learning curve. And so we want to make those things incredibly simple to do out of the box. So that you can then make, it's easy to upgrade when a new version of one of the libraries that you use comes out, and you can get the new version in your app, and it's easy for you to add new libraries as the dependencies of your app change over time. And so we're looking at productizing that set of features, so there'll be a nice Visual Studio experience for managing client-side libraries. It'll be provider-based, and we would likely ship the CDN.js provider and the file system provider out of the box. We've talked about adding an NPM provider so that you could actually use NPM to declare what your client-side dependencies are, and then you could use our not a package manager to move them from the node modules folder into the place in your app where you want to, without having to get, jump the complexity bridge over into something like Webpack or Gulp or whatever, an NPM script or something like that. And indeed, we could do that in such a way that you don't even see that. Like we could do a first-class NPM provider so that in your, for example, again, it's all just like pseudo ideas right now. In your CS proj, you could declare a client package reference, just like you declare a package reference today for NuGet. Imagine you could declare a client package reference with a name and a version, and then based on what provider you had configured, or maybe if it was the default, it would, okay, I can get that on NPM, it'll download it for you, it'll screw it all the way in node modules, and it'll move it into the target folder in www/lib for you in an ASP.NET Core app by default, and it would all be configurable in your project file. You're sort of masking the whole having to deal with NPM directly, or you could make it just a simple file copy. So that's what we're looking at doing. It's basically migrating from Bower to this new not a package manager thing, which is built into the project system via MS Build, so that you get the capability of plugging into whatever you like. Or if you just want to use, obviously, if you just want to use NPM or Webpack and do your own thing, you can obviously just do that as well. We already do that in our SPA templates today. All use NPM and Webpack because that is the first-class experience when using the SPA frameworks that we've integrated with, whether Angular or React or Redux or Vue. But before you get to that level, if you're not doing SPAs, we think there is a gap there that can be addressed with a simple set of functionality. So that's what we're looking to do. And that will get us off Bower, which is good. Have any other questions come in, or is everyone fairly quiet today?
They are pretty quiet.
Yeah. So we haven't got to the point yet where people have been asking for a roadmap update. We're still working through some stuff internally before we can do that. I hope to have that done in the next few weeks. It really just, it's conference season at the moment. Like there's been .NET Conf, there's Ignite is on right now. So there's a whole bunch of people out at Orlando. And so there's been a bit of a delay in us getting through the planning process. And so we're still doing that.
Talking to Dan Roth, he was just like, thing after thing. It was like, you're actually PMing like features too, right? And he's like, yes. Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, that too. So we've already started on certain things, and people who are eagle-eyed on the repos will know that already. Like, obviously work's going on some things, but some of the larger items, like I said, are still kind of held up in that planning process. But we'll get that out soon. So Christian just mentioned CodCod. With a wink, which is the code name for one of the desires. I think I've talked about it on here before. We want to provide an out-of-box experience for a more complete HTTP API story, with proper client referencing and code generation and first class, best in class open API support, Swagger support. Those type of things, without you really having to think about it. Just, okay, file new ASP.NET Core HTTP API application. I get all this stuff out of the box by default. So we're looking at integrating with some third parties. We're looking at adding some new types to MVC to make those things better. HTTP2 we've talked about as well, obviously. So HTTP2 for Kestrel is happening. I don't think there's any plans for HTTP2 for HTTP client in the next release that I'm aware of, Vlad. But definitely for Kestrel, that work has already begun. And we're working with the .NET team who need to provide some platform level APIs for us to do that correctly. CodCod is not an Aussie named it, actually. It was actually Ryan on the MVC team who named it. So sorry, it wasn't me who came up with that code name. The other thing that's been kicking around is Kicker, which Glenn has put together. This is our effort to have better support out of the box for a lot of the concerns that come up in sort of massively distributed microservices applications, where you start breaking up your apps into lots of logical little apps and run them as microservices. And now you have shared concerns when you have apps like that. Like you want to do distributed tracing, distributed configuration, distributed logging. You want to do service discovery. You want to do outgoing HTTP decorators. You want to do a whole bunch of stuff like health checks to integrate with some orchestration layer. And there are established third-party or industry solutions for these things, and indeed many of our customers are using them already with ASP.NET Core today, but we didn't provide the integrations for those out of the box. We didn't build the service and we didn't provide the integration with ASP.NET Core. So that's something we're looking at in the next version as well, is how can we, again, bridge that gap? Like, can we make it much easier out of the box if you're building these styles of applications to integrate with these well-known third-party solutions that people are already using? So the Kicker is the effort that's been prototyping that. Glenn's been working in that from my team with some people on the engineering team. So I'm sure that'll get some legs as well. And obviously, we continue to invest in making ASP.NET Core better, faster, fixing bugs, improving things here and there. I think we're going to talk about adding Brotli compression support to our response caching middleware, response compression middleware, sorry. We're looking at improving the ANCM or ASP.NET Core module, which is the part of IIS that hosts ASP.NET Core applications. So we're looking at a new mode for that you can opt into that changes the hosting model, that reduces the moving parts, which hopefully will result in a much better performance and more reliability. It comes with some caveats, which is why it's opt-in. But for a lot of applications, it'll be the correct choice. So we're in the middle of working through that as well. And with some large identity authentication is something that we continue to improve on. It's a very complicated feature area, as anyone who has done any non-trivial identity or authentication work knows. And we want to continue to make that experience much, much nicer. And so there's some work going on there around token servers, whether it's just manual JOT token issuing or full STS server stuff and OAuth server stuff. There's how do we make HTTPS the default? So file new ASP.NET Core gives you HTTPS, working through all the experience problems and enabling that. That's not trivial. Like, there's certs involved and it's different on every platform. So we need to work through ways of making that simple. We also need to ensure that configuring things like HTTPS ports for the server can be done in a natural way as you move from environment to environment. If it's all in code, that doesn't change well from environment to environment. Typically, you put that stuff in config files. So how do we make that as easy as possible? What else? Oh, yeah, the SPA templates. Someone just asked, Brian just asked, adding authentication options to the SPA templates. We're doing that as well. So you'll be able to, when creating a new SPA application, choose Azure B2C or our own identity system, or even perhaps bring in identity server if Dominic and Brock integrate with this. So you can build an Angular application using ASP.NET Core SPA services and do authentication as well, because obviously you're going to have to do that and do it in the correct sort of idiomatic way. So we're looking at that as well. And there's a new thing that we're working on called dispatching, which is a terribly generic name. I'm sorry, but it's what we've settled on right now. It's basically bringing the concept of routing further into the core of ASP.NET Core so that it's available to pretty much everything, to middleware, right? And so that during the execution of the middleware pipeline, things that are in that middleware that are in the pipeline can participate in decisions about who will ultimately execute or handle the request, or and then it'll hit the dispatching endpoint, which will be sort of hard coded in the pipeline, where the dispatchers are all pre-registered based on a bunch of rules, and then we'll obviously go get dispatched and handled. The benefit of this is it means routing and dispatching is no longer just a black box for the system that composed it. So for example, today when you use MVC, it adds routing to the pipeline, but only MVC can see that router. So if you're not in MVC or after it and you want to get a URL for something in MVC, you're out of luck. Like you can't get in and get the routing that MVC added. So we want to fix that problem so that no matter what middleware is running where or what subsystem is plugged into your pipeline, they all get to see the details of every endpoint that's being configured in your application through the dispatching rules, with all the metadata about those endpoints, about what URLs they match, what pattern they were registered with, what parameters they capture, what response types they support, all that type of stuff, so that you can do things like URL generation from anywhere in the application. This is one of these big things that we think we have to solve to really make it easier to work inside this sort of middleware, nested middleware composition pipeline. So that's happening in 2.1 as well, or the next release, whatever it ends up being. What else? Yeah, so Christian asked, does that mean you can reason about auth requirements, etc. for routes? Yes, that's exactly the type of thing, so that you can have an endpoint that's annotated with metadata like this endpoint needs authentication or authorization, and this is the policy it needs. And then that goes into the dispatching table, and then anyone at any point can ask, oh, does this endpoint over here require authorization? And if it does, can you give me the details of that, please, so that I can make a decision about it? Yes, that's exactly the type of thing that this would enable. So hopefully the people who have run into problems with this type of thing will understand the type of problem that we're trying to solve with that. So yeah. What else?
I didn't see if you covered the thing about the plans for SPA templates with authorization.
Say that again, sorry.
Plans for SPA templates.
Yeah,
with
I did cover that. Yeah,
okay.
we're gonna add authorization and authentication options to the SPA templates as well. Cool. We're getting some good feedback on the idea of the dispatcher, so that's good. So it seems people are doing this a lot right now, and they have to do it manually inside their middleware, which is not fun at all. So this will hopefully make that easier for a lot of people. Yeah, nothing else on the top of my head. As I said, more details will become public soon as we get through the end of this process, as people get back in and we can start moving into the next phase, so to say. So it's all goodness. Where are we now? It's September, right? Yeah, September 26th.
It's just about October.
Oh man, we got the last quarter of the year. My goodness. My goodness. Alrighty.
Are we good?
I think we're good. I don't
ready for a dramatic zoom out?
Unless Scott, you haven't spoken for a while. Do you have anything you wanted to ask or prompt or?
Nope. I sent more community links to John that he'll share next week. There's always a lot of community links that are going on. Oh, Nick Craver wants to know what the status is on pipelines.
Yeah, so that's happening. In fact, I just came out of a meeting on that. So pipelines is still slated to be in the next release. It'll be used by Kestrel and ASP.NET Core and SignalR. So we just need to figure out what layer it ships in and all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Including all the support for the new span and buffer and all the new lovely memory APIs and the primitives and helpers that go along with that. So that, in theory, give us lots of lovely new performance characteristics.
William's asking about if it's simple to make a Windows service out of a Kestrel app.
Yes, I should have mentioned that. Thank you for the prompt. So the .NET team is about to or has just released a preview of the Windows compatibility pack, name to be determined, final name to be determined, which is effectively a way, it's a set of packages with a meta package to bring them all in that adds a bunch of APIs back if you're running .NET Core on Windows. So for example, it brings back system.drawing and it brings back system.directory services. These are the top APIs from .NET Framework that were either we got feedback from customers that these were the ones that were making it difficult for them to port from .NET Framework to .NET Core, or they're APIs that were very easy for us to port with minimal work, and so we just did the work. Yeah, so Yanni's mentioning that the compatibility pack was in .NET Conf. So that also includes server space. So that's the ability to write Windows services using .NET. So now that's being ported into a package that runs on .NET Core. Our existing ASP.NET Core service hosting package, which we have today for .NET Framework, will be updated to support .NET Core. So you'll be able to write a Windows service and run on .NET Core very soon. Okay, so we're doing that work. The other thing that we're working on right now is WS-Fed support for people who require WS-Fed for authentication. Maybe you're using Windows Active Directory from 2012 rather than 2016, or one of the federated auth providers. We're adding that support as basically an out-of-band 2.0 package. So we're doing it to support 2.0. You won't have to wait for the next sort of 2.1 or minor or major release. We're going to release this package separately, and then you'll be able to use WS-Fed in your ASP.NET Core 2.0 applications. We hope to have that out in the next month or two. So that's going on as well.
That is a lot of stuff.
Yeah, So basically we'll have, I mean, we've got servicing releases in between all those things as well. Obviously there's bugs that have been reported that we need to fix. So we'll do the typical sort of 2.0x patches on various things. There was a 1x and 1.0x patch release last week, I believe. There was a blog on that. Added support for the new Mac OS High Sierra, and a whole bunch of other bug fixes are in there. And then for 2.0x, there's a bunch of fixes for MVC and a few other things that'll make its way in. I think EF has a bunch of fixes as well. So that's just a whole other train. Like the servicing train where we roll out patches is different to the adding features train, where we either do separate packages as what we call out-of-band releases, or the next actual version of the framework, like a 2.1 or something like that, which is longer term, but a much bigger release. So yeah, it's all going on. It's all good.
All right. Well, it's been almost an hour. I think it's time for the dramatic zoom out.
I agree.
You ready, Scott?
You have to click on him. No.
Oh.
Don't do that.
No, I didn't say.
You screwed it up, John.
I
thought we had a thing going. I thought we had
No. John's learning.
Wait, I just said, are you ready? And I was asking Scott if you were ready to sing.
There are no bad actors, only bad directors.
This is improv. Don't say no. Let's go with it, man.
All right, I'm just stopping the broadcast. Okay, on my mark. 3, 2, execute.
You have to click on him.
I did.
You didn't. You're the one who's visible right now.
I don't.
Did you lock me on?
I did lock on him.
You sure?
No,
I'm looking at John.
I think that's. I see a white circle over Damien.
So what we need to do now is just go.
I am locked on. I am. I'm looking at it.
I told you it's not locked on.
So here we go again.
Zoom out.
Number 3.
It never happened.
Zoom out. Dramatic zoom out. It's so dramatic.
Dramatic. Zoom out.